Today we're going to talk about solving two or more step equations. Let's go ahead and get started here. When you're solving two or more step equations, we're always going to draw that line down the equal sign. We want to get rid of everything but the x on the left-hand side. And the way we're going to do that is first by getting rid of the plus or minus part. So the opposite of a negative 7 is a positive 7. Remember, what we're trying to do is create that 0. So we get 2x equals 20. And then we'll finish this off by dividing by 2 on both sides, because that will give me my x equals 20 divided by 2, which is 10. You can check all your solutions by plugging them in. 2 times 10 minus 7. 2 times 10 is 20. 20 minus 7 is 13. So we know we have it correct. I will not be checking all of my answers on these videos. However, you do have that ability as you work through problems yourself. In the second problem, 21 plus 6x equals negative 3. I'm looking on the left-hand side. This is where my variable is. I've got to get rid of the positive 21. I will do so by putting a negative 21 on both sides. That creates a 0, so I get 6x is equal to negative 24. We're going to do the opposite of timesing by 6, which is dividing by 6 on both sides. And so your x is equal to a negative divided by a positive, which is a negative 4. On my next problem, I have to solve and get t by itself. The way I would do that is by getting rid of the 18 first. The way you get rid of a positive 18 is by putting a negative 18 on both sides. This gives me 7t. I would think subtraction here, which gives me a 28. And then I'll get rid of the times 7 by dividing by 7 on both sides. And I get t is 4. Again, you can always plug in your 4 for your t value to check your answer. I'll go ahead and do that one more time. 18 plus 7 times 4. You've got to do your order of operations, which would be 7 times 4 first, which is 28. 28 plus 18 is 46, so we do have the correct answer. There are times where our problems are more advanced, where we have some parentheses in there. Still, our variables only on the right-hand side or the left-hand side, but we've got to get rid of these parentheses, and the way we do that is through distributing. So I'm going to take my negative 2 times my x, which is a negative 2x. I'm going to take my negative 2 times my negative 10. This is a negative 10, so a negative times a negative is a positive, and that would be 20. And I'm going to go ahead and solve for the x value. I want to get rid of the plus or minus part first. So I have a positive 20, so I'm going to put a negative 20 on both sides. So I bring this down, negative 2x equals, this gives me a negative 12. And I'll get the x by itself by dividing by negative 2 on both sides. Negative divided by negative is a positive, and so my solution is positive 6. Problem number 5. We have parentheses again, so I'll go ahead and distribute. I get 2 times b is 2b plus 2 times 5, which is 10. Now I can go ahead and get the b by itself by getting rid of the positive 10 by putting a negative 10 on both sides. That gives me 2b on the left-hand side, and I have a negative 4 on the right-hand side. The way I get rid of the 2 is by dividing by 2 on both sides, and I end up getting a negative 2 as my solution. On this next problem, I end up wanting to get rid of the positive 2 first. Don't let the fraction bother you. We'll put a negative 2 on both sides. I'll have x over 5 equals 4. These are like the problems that we had the other day. You can do the opposite and multiply by 5 on both sides, or you can create a proportion, a fraction equals to a fraction, and cross multiply. 1 times x is x, 5 times 4 is 20. These you can also check your answer, especially if you're not feeling very confident. You can say, well, I've got 20 as my answer. What's 20 divided by 5? Well, that's 4. 4 plus 2 is 6, so I know I have the correct answer. Let's look at one more of those. I have on the left-hand side this x. I want to get it by itself. The way I get rid of the negative 6 is by adding 6 to both sides. That creates 0. X over 10 equals 2 plus 6, which is 8. Again, I can create a proportion, okay, and cross multiply to solve. 1 times x is x. 10 times 8 is 80. Check your answer if you like, and you would find that we have the correct solution. We're going to take a break and continue on with the next video.